Welcome back to About Art. I'm your host, Tatiana, and today we are in the beautiful city of Madrid. I'm currently on my way to the Museo Nacional Thyssen-Bornemisza to have a look at some of the incredible works of art that are housed there, and I'm taking you along with me. The Museo Nacional Thyssen-Bornemisza houses an impressive collection spanning the Italian and German Renaissance, 17th century Dutch masters, French Impressionism, 19th century American painting, and 20th century Expressionism. The variety is truly astounding, making it perfect for all art lovers. I'll tell you all about the 3 works that I've chosen to focus on for today and give you a taste of what the museum is like. So follow along for the journey. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel for even more fresh, fast, and engaging art historical content. Let's go. The first work of art that I wanted to focus on today is Albrecht Dürer's Jesus Among the Doctors, which was painted in 1506. Dürer was a German Renaissance artist, and here he depicts a young Jesus surrounded by 6 rabbis. The scene depicted is one from Christ's childhood, which is recounted in the New Testament. When he's 12 years old, Christ goes missing for 3 days. When he is finally found by the Virgin Mary and Saint Joseph in the temple in Jerusalem, he is seated among rabbis, conversing with them. Here we see Christ gesturing with his fingers. What he's doing is he's making theological arguments and counting his points on his fingers. So he's very clearly engaged with the rabbis who surround him. Christ looks young, calm, confident, composed, and with his bowed head, modest. In contrast, the men that encircle him evoke a sense of chaos. The variety in their appearances, poses, gestures, expressions, and sightlines give the impression of movement. We can almost hear them shuffling around Christ, ready to refute his arguments with the books they hold as backup. Some appear impressed, shocked, suspicious, engaged, hesitant, or even dismissive. I love the figure in the left background who makes direct eye contact with us, the viewer, drawing us into the open space in the painting's foreground and making us a part of the interaction. However, there is something that the rabbis all do have in common. Dürer has purposefully accentuated their old age and has not shied away from rendering their imperfections. What this does is, by deliberate contrasts, highlight Christ's youth, beauty, and perfection. The first thing that jumps out at you when looking at this painting are the prominence of hands and fingers, particularly those of Christ and the doctor to his immediate left. Their striking large fingers are engaged in a dynamic play, a hypnotizing swirl that forms the central focus of the painting. Not only does this make clear the rather energetic and vehement nature of Christ's interaction with rabbis, it also draws attention to Dürer's artistic skill. It is no secret that hands are one of the hardest things to paint as an artist, and here Dürer gives us 8 of them, rendered with sharp clarity. In all their dexterity and communicative abilities, they also subtly hint towards the dexterity of Dürer's own hands that made this painting possible. In the painting's left foreground, you'll notice that Dürer has woven his anagram and the date of the painting's creation into the scene at play, as it is visible on the slip of paper that protrudes from the book that is placed closest to the picture plane. He has also included the Latin phrase, "work executed in 5 days," to show off his technical and artistic excellence. Dürer actually painted this panel while in Venice, during his 2nd visit to Italy. And indeed, this panel does exhibit a striking blend of both Italian and Northern European artistic traditions. The balanced composition, with a clear focal point, is Italian, while Dürer's highly tactile rendering of minute details belongs to the Northern Renaissance. So the second painting that I'd like to focus on for today is Portrait of Giovanna degli Albizzi Tornabuoni by the Italian artist Domenico Ghirlandaio, which was painted towards the very end of the 15th century. I love this painting because it's such a beautiful example of a painting being able to tell us so much without saying anything at all. The woman that we see has been identified as Giovanna degli Albizzi Tornabuoni, a member of a very prominent Florentine family. In 1486, she married Lorenzo Tornabuoni, and unfortunately died just 2 years later in 1488 during childbirth. So it's very possible that it's a posthumous portrait that was commissioned by Lorenzo to commemorate and honor the memory of his wife, while also celebrating both her inner and outer beauty. It's a half-length portrait with Giovanna depicted in profile, with her hands clasped gently before her. She appears rather stiff and expressionless, which was very typical of Florentine portraiture of the time. Her beauty has been idealized, again in line with Florentine Quattrocento portraiture. Her skin is pale and porcelain-like. Her neck is long and elegant. Her hair is neat and shiny, and she has a high and prominent forehead, which was considered very beautiful at the time. She wears a stunning garment made of gold brocade with slitted silk sleeves. Giovanna is also depicted against an architectural niche that houses an array of personal belongings meant to shed light on her character, nobility, and virtue. To the right, a piece of paper, or cartellino, bears a line of poetry by the Roman poet Martial, and the date 1488 in Roman numerals. The epigram reads, "Art, if only you could depict character and the soul, no painting on earth would be more beautiful." These words convey that while the painting captures Giovanna's outer beauty, her moral virtues and her soul were even more remarkable, but sadly cannot be fully captured by art. This cartellino is accompanied by a prayer book and a string of rosary beads, two clear symbols of Giovanna's piety and faith. To the left, a large brooch featuring a gold dragon, pearls, diamonds, and a ruby, obviously a complementary piece to the elegant pendant that hangs from the silk cord around her neck, symbolizes her family's wealth and social standing. The dragon, which was often invoked in Renaissance Florence in relation to St. George and the dragon, could perhaps also be interpreted as a symbol of good triumphing over evil, thereby accentuating Giovanna's virtue. It's a beautiful painting that immortalizes Giovanna, conserving her beauty and her history for all time. The final work that I wanted to look at today is by none other than my favorite artist of all time, the Italian Baroque painter Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio. St. Catherine of Alexandria was painted by Caravaggio towards the end of the 16th century. It depicts St. Catherine of Alexandria, who was bound to a spiked wheel and decapitated for her Christian faith. Here she is depicted kneeling upon a rich red cushion with the attributes of her martyrdom: the broken spiked wheel, the martyr's palm, and the sword with which she was beheaded. In classic Caravaggio fashion, she is set against a dark, indistinct background that highlights the delicate halo above her head. The intense chiaroscuro spotlights Catherine against the dark background so that all of our attention remains solely focused on her. The painting's model is Filide Melandroni, a courtesan from Siena who became one of the most recognizable faces in Caravaggio's oeuvre in the late 1590s. She was known in Rome as a cortigiana scandalosa, a scandalous courtesan. She moved in powerful circles, becoming a favorite courtesan of the wealthy and well-connected. Caravaggio was famous for using ordinary people, including courtesans, prostitutes, and street dwellers, as models for his religious and saintly figures. It's part of what made his paintings so affecting, as they brought biblical scenes and characters to life, making them feel real and relatable. Here, Caravaggio channels Melandroni's strong character. St. Catherine is shown staring defiantly to the right, looking fearless. The slanting of her body, the voluminous fabric of her dress, part of which drapes over the central spike of the wheel, and the contrasting diagonals of the sword and palm make this a strikingly dynamic painting, considering the rather static subject matter. That brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed visiting the Museo Nacional Thyssen-Bornemisza with me and seeing some of the amazing works of art that are on display there. The three works discussed in this video are simply a mere glimpse at the many treasures housed in that museum, so make sure to pay it a visit the next time you're in Madrid. You'll find a link to the museum's website in the description box down below, together with a list of further highlights I recommend seeing while there. In the description box, you'll also find a link to my website and my Instagram and TikTok social media handles. Finally, if you enjoyed watching this video, then please give it a like, leave a comment about what you'd like to see next, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for even more fresh, fast, and engaging art historical content. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.